I'm Ron Walters, and I'm an alum of the University of Idaho. Graduated here in architecture in 1970. And one of the great things about being an alum of the University of Idaho is you get invited back to play. And so I've been having a great time here working with the students. And really, I'm honored to be able to do that. This class, which we call Design Thinking or sometimes Unleashed Thinking, was really inspired by the vision statement for the strategic plan that we developed a few years ago for the College of Art and Architecture. And the opening line of that vision statement reads, "The University of Idaho College of Art and Architecture is the school of choice for transdisciplinary, community-influenced education." And as we were implementing the plan, one of the things we started to see was it was kind of hard to be transdisciplinary. It was kind of hard to get students from all of the different disciplines in a room together, working together, because of the way the programs are set up. And so the dean of the college, Mark Hoverson, challenged me to take that on and say, why don't you try it as an instructor? And so when we first tried it, we got two colleges together, the College of Art and Architecture and the College of Business and Economics. And we had students from each program in each of those colleges. Each college has 5 programs, and so we had broke it up, and that's how we got our 24 students. And so that was the first few times we did it. This is the 4th time the class will be taught, and under the rules of 404 classes, that means it'll be the last time it will be taught. And so this time we decided just to open it up to, you all come. And as a result, all the students that are in the class were self-selected. Anyone who signed up got in. And we have students from 8 colleges. So we are very multidisciplinary. Horizontally, we are about as integrated as we can be. Also, somewhat surprisingly, we have freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors, grad students, and a doctoral student. So vertically, we are just about as integrated as you can be. While the purpose of this class is, what you're going to see today from the students is a presentation on a particular topic, a particular thing they've been focused on. What the real purpose has been is to really focus on this thing of design thinking. And there's 3 major objectives I have in doing that. One is to give them this opportunity to work together with multidisciplinary teams. And they've certainly had that opportunity given as mixed as this group is. The second is to share with them some of my experience in 40 years of consulting and working out in the field, of what it's like to work in the situations where frequently your problems are very ambiguous and sometimes even wicked. And so, as these students can attest, the instructions I've given them have been pretty few and far between. They've been very ambiguous. They've really had to define the problems, not just run with my definition of them and make it all work. So that's the first 2 objectives. The third objective is to really experience what I think is the critical aspect of design thinking, which is that it is a balance between analysis and intuition. And so it's not just focusing on the knowledge or what you can go on to Google and find out about your problem. It is what your gut says, and to have as much confidence in your gut as you do in your head. And so we kind of play off of Einstein's comment that imagination is as important as knowledge. And so we want to give them lots of opportunity in here to imagine. With that in mind, the definition of a designer that I gave them to work with, since they're all designers in here, is that a designer is someone who it's a designer's job to extend the boundaries of thought, generate new options, and ultimately create value. This requires the ability to imagine that which does not exist. So as you watch their presentation today, which I will have seen for the first time as well, this has all been pulled together fairly quickly, keep in mind that these students just met each other 7.5 weeks ago from very different fields. So they've learned how to talk to each other and work across the disciplines that way. And while I'm sure you'll find their presentations compelling. Once again, the real objective was not to solve the particular problem that they're working on. They could only take that so far in this length of time. But it is really to practice these aspects of design thinking. And so I hope as they're up here presenting, you will notice how they are working together as multidisciplinary teams, how they're dealing with ambiguity and being willing to have the courage to engage in wicked problems, and how they are imagining that which does not exist. So I'm going to turn the rest of the session over to the students, which is basically what I've been doing for the last 7.5 weeks. And so they're going to go through their presentation. If you could hold any questions until the end, we'll then have time for questions, and at that point want them to all introduce themselves and tell you their backgrounds as well. So Josh?
So thank you all for coming for today. So I'm Josh Hale, and I recognize some of your faces out here. And so I think that before we start, I think we can all agree that we contribute equally or more to the community at large. And when I say community, I mean the university and the city of Moscow. I think we can all be grateful that daylight savings time is coming here pretty soon because we get more daylight. And I think we're all going to be looking forward to the farmers market come this summer. I know that's my favorite piece of Moscow, at least during the summertime, which I will be enjoying for the last time this year. So we were charged with creating sustainable communities, and it was to be a 3-part focus through education, health, and overall health care. And so one of the case studies we looked at was Icaria. It's an island over near Sicily, and it's in a blue zone. Japan also has blue zones, and there's also a small place outside LA that also has blue zones, home to Seventh-day Adventists who tend not to eat pork and mainly a vegetarian diet. So what we've seen within these blue zone characteristics was the gardening, and they eat their own produce, very low meat diet, public and close friend interaction, so a building of community. They kind of have a communal pull together existence that is really reliant. Active lifestyles, most of them hold down 2 jobs, but they're not just like going from one office to the other and sitting down and doing that work. It's all outside work. And then, as always, one of my favorite things to enjoy is wine in moderation. I also looked up, while I was doing this presentation, some other case studies that kind of support this Icarian / Seventh-day Adventist / Japan model. So actually the news just recently with a lot of these health journals, it's been in the news for a while, but February seems to be kind of a flush of all these studies. So I pulled them up here for your enjoyment. We divided up into 6 teams to tackle the community, and whenever we were looking at the community, we're kind of looking at this as, yes, it can work with this within this community, but this model can be transported to other communities across the United States where people can pick and pull different sections of this out if they already have an existing one of these pieces within that sustainable community. So we've got public markets, a place to grow, health incentives program, health city, senior involvement movement, and our green district, and that will help build our sustainable communities. So we have a place to grow, and that's the one that my team worked on. Our team, I should say our team, because we're so we have this little mantra of growing community health connections. They're supposed to be individual words, but they work together really nicely. One of the big problems that we found that we're consumers and not participants in the food system. I've done studies before where American kids, 8 out of 10 of them can't identify their simple vegetables. Lack of connection with food and environment. You lose that connection, pretty soon degradation of environment happens. Reliance on outside food sources. We also see this when you look at your grapes. They're grown in Venezuela or some other area that requires all these food miles to be added upon. This is what we consider a food desert. It's kind of a map of the United States. This is where people don't have access to either fresh fruits, milk, or any kind of breads within the United States. I don't know if that's because of, if you notice that right up there in northern Idaho, I don't know if that's because of our geographic location and distance to places. So our mission became using year-round sustained agriculture to develop healthy communities through growing natural connections to land, the community, the university, and local businesses. We also looked at types of gardens that could be implemented within these spaces. We got residential apartments, neighborhood plots, rooftops, edible landscapes. You know, instead of just planting your standard locusts, plant apple trees so that way people can walk by and pick them. Neighborhood farmer, community supported agriculture. And then we looked at small scale hydroponics, which can pretty much be done in your apartment, or large scale hydroponics, which can be done in buildings that have been abandoned. We typically call those zombie lots. And that's typically you can tear up the parking lot, replant it with any kind of seasonal vegetables, and inside you can have year-round hydroponics. This system right here per will is 650 square feet, and with a 1 acre building footprint, you can get about 85 acres worth of grow out of it. So some of the stuff that we looked at was zombie lots, and then how to kind of choose those sites was based on soil aspect. That's where it actually sits according to the sun and that kind of stuff for year-round growing. Donated private land, and then how much water is available. And then, so this is how the community neighborhood kind of comes together and develops. We have small entrepreneurships. You know, it's nice, especially in economic downturns, that you can at least start up your business and feel good about yourself within the community. Accountability between land and farmer. I kind of talked about the degradation of land and how if you don't respect it, it tends to go down. Year-round availability of these fresh fruits and vegetables, which we hope will increase healthy habits because healthy food is accessible. One of the things that we looked at also was a food shed. Maybe these communities could turn into food sheds for smaller areas. They say typically 150 miles radius is about your food shed. So.
All right. I'm going to talk about some of the details and how we would make this project work. One being participants. And I really love this project because I think it creates a huge opportunity for so many people to get involved, especially the university, which we think that students could get involved by doing internships. Maybe they could get some kind of certificate, but definitely hands-on learning and leadership skills. Also, the community at large, I think it's a really great opportunity for people, possibly like community outliers who really are looking for an avenue to get involved, possibly at-risk youth or senior citizens maybe, and also students from local schools, all the way from kindergarten to seniors in high school. I think that it's really important to get those like the values of eating healthy and knowing where your food comes from, and just creating a relationship between food and young kids. I think that's something that can last throughout their lives. Also, with funding this project, we think that local businesses that have a high quality for food, such as restaurants or food markets, could buy into plots and support that way. Also, grants, donations, possibly the university, the City of Moscow, the Chamber of Commerce, volunteers, or entrepreneurs. This is another idea we came up with. It's just a little graphic that Josh helped design. And it's just kind of a logo that we thought that if, say, a business like Nectar or the co-op purchased some of these locally grown foods, they could put this in their store window, or you could put it on a t-shirt and people could wear it around town and know that you're a part of this effort. Operational logistics, this is all very ground level right now. It's completely dependent on how things go. We know that a lot of these details will change. We know we're not going to get it right the first time, but we think that there should be a plot manager and maybe 5 to 7 interns or volunteers for a 1 acre plot. We've also looked at some sites around Moscow that we think could be potential sites, such as the area on Jackson and 6th. We've also looked at neighborhoods, which if people use their own backyards, they could be responsible and have their own logistics. Also looking at using the silos, and possibly rooftop gardening. This is also Seth. He's part of our group, and he's not able to be here today, but he helped us throughout this entire process. So the produce and who it goes for. One thing that we really felt strongly about was providing accessible, affordable food to all people. So one thing I want to capitalize here is food banks. So obviously providing to the businesses that buy into these plots, but also donating food or making that available to families of low income. We all know that the university has a huge contract with Sodexo, so possibly Sodexo could get on board with this. Maybe we could decrease their costs of importing food. The gains here are endless. I can't call this a triple threat project because I think that the gains are infinite. It's like an infinite threat project. But I think Moscow is ready for a project like this. I think people are interested in it. We have a market of people that want something like this. Also, this could create an opportunity to increase revenue for the university as well as local businesses by keeping students in Moscow year-round, because we know that a large part of the growing season would be in the summer. So not only could this increase revenue, but it could also create a better bond between the community and the university, which I think could create a whole healthier community on its own. Also, this could become a very popular project and successful for the university. We could market it to other universities or take it to other communities that could use this as a model. So it might be a source of ecotourism or food tourism for people. And most importantly, it provides affordable, accessible, healthy food for all people, which is our main goal.
All right. So as a part of our project, we developed an educational aspect to it that would provide year-round fun and engaging learning for our students K through 12 through things like field trips out to the plots or a summer camp that kids could sign up for and get involved with. And it would be a really great aspect of our project because, for one thing, kids, when they're able to kind of get down on the ground and get involved in the production of these vegetables, it can really improve their health. Vegetables become a lot less scary when you know what the plant looks like that they come from, and you're more apt to eat it as a kid if you can say, hey, I helped plant those potatoes back when my class did a field trip to this plot. It really gets them involved, and you never know, you could inspire a whole new generation of farmers, which is also pretty cool. But it doesn't have to stop with K through 12. We have a lot of great ideas for community classes like cooking classes or gardening classes. We even thought maybe that the university could get involved in developing a major centering around this sort of production, this sort of urban production, or they could do some sort of certificate program within that as well. So the university can contribute in great ways, and especially our student base. This project is an excellent way for students of any major in any discipline to really contribute and put to work what they have learned in their disciplines and kind of apply that. And the greatest value we see in the aspect of community connectivity is that summer internships really keep students around. It stabilizes the population of Moscow throughout the year instead of having kind of this transient, school year versus summer interaction. And it really gives them a chance to make more community connections.
So with this project, there are a number of metrics that we'd like to investigate as it progresses. And that would include things like who is participating and how many, and that would be community members and business. How many families are receiving food, especially low-income family. That was something that we really wanted to focus on. What crops are going well, what is most used. Are students staying in Moscow for the summer? Is that generating more money, and how much? And that we'd look at the university and community gains there. Are the summer camps, are they creating revenue or and effectively sharing knowledge? Are we seeing health improvements in individuals and the community at large? Is the project bringing in and retaining more students year-round and after they graduate? And are businesses seeing reduced importing needs? Some areas for possible future growth would include things like alumni conferences and other group activities, development of healing gardens, programs for at-risk youth, international gardens. This could be a model for places all over universities, urban, rural communities. A second place for testing could be Pullman or Lewiston. And so in conclusion, we really want this program to be a year-round sustainable program that involves multiple growing sites and conditions which all would lead to a healthy, connected community, healthy food and spaces available for everyone, and added community value. And with that, I would like to introduce John with the Senior Involvement Movement.
So as I get started, my teammates are going to pass out just a few handouts that are just integrated into everything that we're talking about. When we originally were presented with this opportunity to find a way to develop a self-sustainable community through health and healthcare, we wanted to start by boiling it down. And Simon Sinek, in his book, Starts with Why, created this idea of you're going to first have what you do, and then within what you do, you have how you do it. And then at the core of how you do what you do is why you do what you do. So as we worked through this idea, we wanted to boil it down. We wanted to find out why we were going to create a self-sustainable community. We wanted to find out why people are going to be healthier. So we started navigating through the issue, and we kept coming up with ideas. We'd have one idea and start questioning it. We'd start working our way through it, and we'd analyze it and just find out that it didn't work. And we did this for a while until we finally reached a place where we realized that the reason people want to live a long time, people want to live healthy now, is so that they will live a long time, so they'll have a long life. So we asked, why do we want to live a long time? And it's because we want to enjoy our lives. We want to have this long story full of life, full of joy, full of excitement, where we've lived this life and had a story to tell, and other people tell our stories after us. And so we worked through that, and we realized that why we want a life full of all these exciting things is because we have friends and families. We want to have children, and then we want to see our children's children. We want to see our grandchildren, maybe even our great-grandchildren, be able to hold them and be able to tell that story of our lives and the way we've connected not only with our children and our friends and with our family members, but also with each other. So we started asking another question of why? Why don't we live this way? If this is what we want, if this is the life that we live, if this is the excitement in what we do, then why don't we live this way? Why don't we live healthier now so that later in life we have a better life? So what we really came down to, the ultimate conclusion we had, was that our stigma, the way we see seniors, is the way we truly see ourselves and dictates the way we live now. The way I live right now is based off of the way I understand my grandparents and the way they lived, and the way we interacted, the way we talked about it. We talked about eating a certain type of soup because that's the soup that our grandma made, and it was a good soup. And so we would have these inherited recipes. And so we decided that was the why. We decided that was the core of what we wanted to do, is we wanted to change the understanding of how you see a senior citizen, how you see someone who's older. Because once you start to change that, then you start to change the way you live your life now. We wanted to make it so that at retirement, you have another 20 years or more to live, to truly live and enjoy life, not another 20 years to survive, and maybe you're going to make it. So once we reached that point, we kind of started delineating through the process and delineating through the numbers and finding out what the statistics were and if things would work and if this was even a good idea. And the one that's truly stuck with me, the one thing that is truly connected with me, is that 80% of the nation is under the age of 60. 20% of the nation is over the age of 60. And so we wanted to take this process where we focus and change the concept of 20% of our nation so that the other 80% of the nation can live a healthier life once they reach that 20%. And it's all can work together. And so we've come up with a few ideas on how that's going to work. Hayden's going to start us off on how these things all work together. And that's what he's going to do.
Okay, I promise you guys I'm not texting. So, our first idea is incentive-based healthcare. The idea being that you go into the doctor every year for checkups. This time we're going to do it every 6 months. So when you come in for a checkup, you have a sheet in front of you with the chart that tells you basically we have our patient as Kyle, and the red is what he got. So what we're trying to do with our incentive-based healthcare is if you get the blue, basically meet your goals and become healthier over time, you get a discount on your health insurance provided through the health care company. Now, this is followed by having competition between patients and doctors, so doctors have the most improved patients and everything, and patients will help each other try to get healthier. Along with this is some of the things that we try to help people with: blood pressure, blood work, if you don't have enough vitamins in your body, oral health, skin, weight. So our scenario for this is Kyle. He goes to the doctor, and the doctor tells him, I have a way to help you become healthier, and you can save money on your health insurance. Sounds like a good deal. All he has to do is set goals with his doctor that they're all achievable, that he can do, and that's all he has to do. He works hard to get to these goals. These goals also help the community. So when his family is doing this, and they can tell him, Kyle, don't go to McDonald's, here, we'll make you a salad or something, so you can help him live a longer life. In a small community, for example, like in Moscow, maybe the owner of the co-op will give you a discount for getting fresh produce because he knows that you're trying to get that goal, and he's trying to do that as well. This also, like I was talking about with the doctor competitions, is 2 doctors in the same office can compete to have healthiest patients. Now, what I didn't cover with the patients is when they reach these goals, they get a rating, and which is a 5-star rating, in which this gives health insurance companies a motive to get these patients to be in their company, to be sponsored by them, because they have a 5-star rating, because they work hard, they're healthy, and they maintain it for as much as possible. So this is a picture of pretty much a healthy community. So it's not only through being healthy, but the social interactivities with fast food restaurants and everything like that. So where can we get this food from is a possibility that we saw with another idea called multi-generational farms. Oops.
All right, so with the multi-generational farms, it's bigger than a garden, smaller than a farm. If you look on your little seed packets there, and in fact there's some sunflower seeds in there if you guys want a little snack while I'm presenting. So kind of going off of the idea of having this area where elderly as well as schools and children, kind of like the previous group, zombie lots and things like that, could come and kind of socialize and work the farm a little with having the payoff be towards the community. And so I wanted to go more over as to why is this important? Why even pursue something like this? And so Ron had us read about the island of Icaria, and there was a guy named Mauritus who was stricken with cancer while he was here in America. And he moved to Icaria, and at first he was only given 6 months to live, and nobody thought he was going to make it. And the reason he moved to Icaria was because he was actually from there. His ancestors were from there. So being sickly and thinking he wasn't going to live, he started his own little garden outside his house. And every day he would wake up and work it slowly and kind of in a downward mood. But over time, while he kept working this garden, he noticed an improvement on his health. And then soon he was able to go out and socialize with other people, slowly. But soon enough, the cancer was cured. He had cancer. I don't know if I mentioned that or not. So this is kind of a way to, or a case study to actually see how this would actually work, how this could actually work to help better elderly living. And so, what the benefits this could produce would be local food for the community, elderly getting up, having a reason to get up, getting in contact with nature, getting in contact back with the community, with other community members inside the farm, having that social aspect, because we all know that health is not just a physical and food-related aspect, but it is also some social connection that one must have. So those are kind of the benefits for having an elderly and kind of a child a cooperative farm, or between a farm and a garden. But those that want to travel, we also have that covered, and Allie's going to go over that.
It's actually
Oh,
yeah,
Megan?
actually,
Oh.
I'll be speaking about the
All right.
multi-generational communities. Thanks, though. I'm Megan. We also, touching on what he was just talking about, the social aspect and the connectivity within our communities, talked about how important it is to have a multi-generational community. And ways that we thought about doing that was probably like by involving the seniors and that 20% that John was talking about through the educational farm. Also, connecting like children at youth risk. So we really wanted to focus on like that social aspect, and like make people think forward. So this is just kind of a story that we're gonna talk about. Like a child like there's always like the at youth risk. Excuse me, you'll have to excuse me. I won't leave this up here too long because it kind of makes me sad looking at it. But children, there are those children, and there's a lot of things that go on in our communities that we can actually fix and help with the mental health of our community, not just the food and the physical aspect of it. And through these farms, see, I can talk better now with this happy picture up. Through these educational farms, through focusing on community and holding each other accountable, one of the ideas that we talked about was the 20% helping each other too, and the 80%. So that way, like, the community would be involved in raising the youth, if that makes sense. So it's not just a traditional family unit, it's a new whole community unit to help think forward about that 20%. And so that's one of like the really exciting ideas I thought that could also be played into other aspects of presentations coming up. So Allie can talk about our next idea.
All right, so one concept that we came up with is the Elder Corps, which in our minds is kind of something similar to AmeriCorps or other service programs. And this would be where senior citizens that are active and healthy and really want to serve in other communities or their own have an outlet to do that. And so through this also we thought it would help jumpstart our ideas of the community gardens or farms and the multi-generational communities in the communities that they go to. And a big part of these people coming into the communities and serving and being a part of that is to be role models to these younger generations. You're going to have active and healthy seniors that are going to be playing sports with younger kids, or teaching them how to cook, or showing them how to grow plants, and just really being a role model and a leader to these generations and showing them what health is. So for a couple examples of how this could actually happen, and I've named my people. This is Jack and Diane, and they have been running for years together, and Diane is actually just retiring. Jack already has been, and they decided that they really want to go out and serve in other communities. They've really been involved in their own, and so they join the Elder Corps, and they end up being placed in Moscow, Idaho, and they don't have any grandchildren of their own, but they really like to be involved with youth, and so they're going to be helping with a school program, an after-school program that deals with health and fitness. And so they're just spending these time with these kids, showing them what it's like to be healthy, how they can get involved in fitness, and stuff like that. And this is Nathaniel. When he was 10, he was diagnosed with diabetes, but he was from a lower income family, and they really had a hard time getting him just like the healthy foods that he needed to help him stay on track with his health. But a couple years later, a group of people from the Elder Corps came into their community, and they started one of these community gardens. And his school brought them out on some field trips and really got excited about it, and he was able to get involved with one of their programs for youth. And through that, he was able to learn about growing his own food, how to cook it, and through that, he really saw an improvement in his health, and he was able to bring home healthy foods, fruits and vegetables to his family, and just really be able to continue that through his family and throughout the community.
And before I switch to our last slide, thank you. I just want to tie that all up. This is really, I realize that this is extreme, excuse me. But I really wanted to tie up through our initiatives, the numerous initiatives, there are ways that we can help affect the health of a community. I wanted to end with a personal story. I got the opportunity to go on ASUI alternative service break trip to Pittsburgh recently. We worked with a group called Rebuilding Together in Pittsburgh. I actually went with Bruce back there, and so it's nice to have his familiar face. But I was working with people who owned their homes, people who had gone through economic boom and turmoil in this urban area, and I saw how it affected their health and the community around it. And though shifting like the stigma of like senior or the senior involvement movement seems kind of out there, it could be really, really effective if we take the time to notice that 20% and work together through the initiatives like incentive-based healthcare, through education, through raising the people that are in our community and educating them. And so I just wanted to leave you with that, and we'll shift to the next presentation here. Thank you.
I'm Shannon, this is Duran and Jacob, and we feel that a person's environment really affects how their mental and their physical health. And so for our part in building a self-sustaining community, we want to create a healthy, vibrant environment for public interaction. We hope to trigger change and inspire healthier habits by taking the current model for the farmers markets and expanding it into a year-round public market. A public market is a type of placemaking in that it will capitalize on our community's assets, inspiration, and potential, creating a happy, healthy environment. It is also a place that is open to incorporate our local community as well as our surrounding communities. Some of the health benefits for public markets are that it creates a walkable space, so there's less CO2 emissions. It provides a place to sell and buy healthy local options, and it also inspires for interactions within communities.
In this public market expansion plan will be a competition-based expansion plan, and it will be targeted at transitional towns within the Northwest. Transitional towns meaning towns that are not completely automobile dependent, that are still walkable, and they still have this traditional Main Street, or in this case, a university. So the competition will be to award these different cities like Idaho, so looking at cities like Moscow, Lewiston, that all have the traditional Main Street, or Pullman, or Cheney, or even that has Eastern Washington. The reward to these schools will be just the title of the healthiest city within the Northwest. Some indicators for this competition will be what town could have the best innovative public market integration within their town. So some other indicators that we'll look at to measure these will be crime rate decrease, obesity decrease, economic growth, and environmental wellness based on CO2 emissions. The initial prototype for this program will be Moscow, the Moscow community. So collaborating with the University of Idaho and the city of Moscow, we'll look at the main pedestrian route that's taken. So looking at Main Street, which is here, and trying to connect that to building on the existing farmers market model and trying to connect that to the university a little bit better. So one of the first strategy that we'll try to implement is to actually make Main Street from 3rd to 6th Street a one-way thoroughfare. So you'll get this rare connection of the automobile and human beings, where there'll be, the automobile will literally be 2 feet away from you, with it being a one-way thoroughfare, and then you'll have this the street activation and this vibrancy that's not really there right now. So then you have more people socializing and more people walking, and that's how you'll measure the obesity decrease and all of those things. So, and another strategy of this plan is to actually extend the operation time to be 2 to 5 days a week. The current market only operates every so often. So one of the main things that we're trying to do with this plan is to make all of these things habitual, to make socialization habitual, because when more people start socializing, a lot of benefits start coming from that. And then another thing that we're going to try to do is to actually get the local businesses involved. So with what we get in the local business involved, we could come together and create some kind of funds or sponsorship that would allow us to create a site for all of these products or goods to be actually to be produced or packaged.
Okay, so we wanted, when we designed this, to kind of change up who would be involved in these markets. When most people think of farmers market, it's largely food-based, and that would be a large part of it. Giving an outlet to, like, the groups that were talked about before, the produce and stuff made from those would be sold at these markets. But we also wanted to include other businesses that may not normally have a physical store, such as nonprofit organizations, green businesses, startup businesses. We also wanted to include already established, like, franchise businesses to kind of anchor that market. But going back to, like, other businesses that don't normally have that that space where they're out there, such as the internet and home-based businesses.
I kind of left out another part of the plan, but we're doing the downtown from 3rd to 6th Street, and then we're also thinking about doing the main promenade that leads from the U of I Rec Center up to the library as two of the main target sites. So the downtown street will be, the downtown from 3rd to 6th Street would form an identity, and it would connect with the citizens of Idaho that's year round. And then the promenade that leads from the rec center up to the library will be something for the incoming freshmen that come to the university, so we could let them know that this is what the university is about, and if it's right there in front of them, we're going to get most of them to kind of buy or even just get involved in those type of things that's going on within those public market that's there. Yeah.
Right, so that would be putting this in a high pedestrian area, so you would have that interaction, just not, you wouldn't go to this place, you would be walking through this place normally. Along with, like, the franchise businesses to anchor these markets, we wanted to include medical institutions as well as health insurance. Just more convenient and accessible to people who are walking by or are already at these markets. We think, like, maybe a doctor or a dentist could have a booth set up and provide checkups or physicals, you know, something that would be real quick for people walking by, and as well as the health insurance, because we feel we don't really see our health insurance much more than maybe our little card, so to have that interaction with a person through our health insurance, we feel like would be a large positive. And we didn't want the products to just be local, though we kind of wanted them to be real community-based. They obviously, for a large part, would be local, and then we wanted to expand the products coming in from the surrounding community to kind of give those smaller communities a boost and get those products that they may be selling in their community to a larger market. And not just like the Moscow and surrounding area, but also throughout Idaho. And we thought that maybe the extension program that the Idaho, or that U of I already has in place could be a vessel to find these products and going back and forth in between the communities. So to kind of sum it all up, we feel like these public markets, this expansion would be, let's see, create a healthy, vibrant environment for public interaction through this competition, the involvement of businesses and their patrons in a healthy environment, as well as the regional community. So I believe the Green District is next.
So my name is Lizette, and our group, we formulated the Green District. So just kind of to start you off a little bit, one of the main, our experiences with health and healthcare, since that was the main focus of our project. Treatment versus prevention, that's something that we talked a lot about this semester so far, and the difference between treating a problem once you already have the problem, or preventing it altogether. So our main issue areas were education, affordability, accessibility, and awareness of health and healthcare, focusing on preventative measures for health instead of treatment once you already have a problem. So just a little bit of history on connecting our previous projects. We discussed a lot about redefining Congress through voter effectiveness. One of our bottom lines was transforming consumers into participants through education and opportunities can be a powerful vehicle of change. If we can encourage voters to take a more active role in how we vote, why can't we help people participate more in their health and their health care? So the problem. One of our main problems is cheap and convenient fast food has contributed to poor eating and diet habits. So for example, we have drive-thrus, you can get 4-5 cheeseburgers for $5, and accessibility of these facilities. So our solution and our mission statement: establish a green district of outdoor food vendors to provide healthy foods with the same affordability and convenience of fast food while educating the community on healthy diets. Our goals. Our goals are to change the perception of fast food. Fast food doesn't always have to be unhealthy. It is very easy just to make it healthy as well. Make health food as cheap and as accessible as fast food. And also educating our consumers on how to make healthy food at home.
All right, so here we created a map. And it's from our original plan to give you guys a little overview of what we want to do. As you can see, there are 4 different categories. We have benefits, marketing, food packaging, and community. We'll get into more in this. We'll get into this more throughout the discussion. Food systems. The development of the zombie lots will reduce food transportation from various locations and open up more direct marketing, leading to fewer people in between the farmer and the consumer. As a result, relationships that develop in these local food systems emerge from face-to-face interactions, potentially leading to stronger sense of trust and social connectiveness between people. Another great thing about the food system and supporting locally is that it ensures transparency. With the Green District, we have all these healthy foods, and you'd be able to see, or you'd be able to get details and information about where this food's coming from, so you're not, worried about eating horse meat or something. As for sustainability in the Green District, we were thinking that we would produce a business, as well as fast food restaurants that are healthy, a business that created composable flatware made from non-GOM wheat or corn crops that would be successfully composited in 3 to 6 weeks. composted in 3 to 6 weeks. As for education, take healthy eating home by providing easily accessible recipes, cooking classes, and health food fairs. Last week, I demonstrated that I could easily that anyone could easily find recipes that were healthy and delicious. I brought the entire class sliced apples with natural butter, peanut butter, and oats, and I threw some walnuts or some pecans and walnuts on there, and I think everyone enjoyed it. But I think that if we could have people in the Green District, we could have kids, adults come in and be educated on healthy foods. We also wanted to implement farm to school program, allowing students in the community to participate in local growing. Some community benefits and customer incentives. New jobs would be created, support local foods, 5-star health insurance kickback plan, some customer incentives, employer offered discount cards, frequent customer discounts, and late night discounts. And hopefully if we combine education, benefits, and incentives, we will encourage people to adopt more of a participant mindset and less of a consumer one. And Ethan's going to talk about marketing here.
So in order for this idea to really succeed, it'll have to be properly marketed, and that can be divided up into our brand and advertising. So some values that we want associated with our brand include convenience, affordability, the food itself, health, and feeling good about yourself. That last one's really important. When people come to the Green District, we want them to feel like that they're doing something to improve their lives. And then as far as advertising goes, we'll use some more traditional ones like print and broadcast and social, as well as like wayfinding. So we're gonna have like a lot of foot traffic for this idea, so we want people to be able to find the Green District. And then we'll do promotional events and alternative marketing such as moss graffiti, which I think is a really neat idea. You went back the wrong way.
Sorry, never used one of these before. Not used to being up here. So I guess the proposed location for the center of the Green District, if we were to use Moscow as the base community prototyping, would be between 6 College Street along Jackson. Everyone knows where the silos are, and Paradise Path, Paradise Path runs for jogging, bicycling, all that. Mostly just because the silos are a symbol of the Moscow community, and they're used for food storage. And so we want to renovate those, use those. Also, some other groups talked about it, and one of our main issues was connecting the university and Moscow community together through the Green District. And so I feel like this would be a perfect site because, as mentioned earlier, 6th Street is the main pedestrian walkway to downtown. However, the university has just redone College Street by branding it. They've redone it, repaved it, new lights, new cobblestones, everything. So it has a university brand. It feels safer. And I know from experience when walking to see people off campus, because I have a lot of friends off campus, I love taking that way now. It's so much more enjoyable. So bringing off campus students off campus, connecting with Moscow and the university throughout the day rather than just coming to class, going home, coming to class, going home. And also integrates the Moscow community with them because they can come to the university, see that happening. And the other potential with this is behind the silos. Right here is just completely empty lot. Use railroads and semi-storage was it for, so that could be a zombie lot used for growing, having classes, having plots out there. So the next thing, I guess the step we want to do is rapid prototyping. We just want to get feedback from families, students, local businesses on their version of what healthy fast food is compared to our version of it. And so we can kind of create a synthesis of the two and kind of move forward with our business model.
So as far as funding goes, we kind of envision using a crowdfunding source such as Kickstarter. I know of multiple projects that have far exceeded their funding goals, so Kickstarter is actually a really powerful tool if we use it properly. And at this point, we've had this big idea, but it could be bigger. Ron pointed out that the Green District pretty much only benefits Moscow, which is already a thriving community. So what could we do to bring those benefits to other communities, such as Onaway or Beauville? So we came up with the Small Towns program. So the idea was to kind of give a little kick to small communities by providing them with like affordable housing, gardening plots, and canning facilities to set up like a small scale agricultural production. So the idea is these small towns would send in their produce to the Green District, and in return they're getting the financial benefit, and then we'd also send in volunteers to help out in these communities. So we'll talk more about.
And so yes, to also kickstart, sorry, I'm crazy with this thing. To also kickstart that, we wanted to further get the university involved for the colleges. Like I'm part of the College of Art and Architecture, and I know 2 programs called Freedom by Design and New World by Design. Both of the leaders I'm personally friends with. And I started talking to them about, you know, the Green District and moving it to other communities, and they were actually really excited about it. It's something they want to do because they struggle getting projects. Freedom by Design mostly focuses on ADA accessibility within the community, whereas New World by Design focuses on rural design. They want to go, well, right now they're international, but they're bringing it back to a local level, and so they want to just do designing, get hands-on experience, make it cheaper. They just designed a structure, a picnic structure outdoors that was contracted out for $20,000, but they did it for $5,000. So really making this accessible and affordable for communities is entirely possible. Other colleges, such as business, would get hands-on experience working with clients, other students, the design factor, and just budgeting and just working everything out. So it could be really beneficial for the community and the students for learning.
So some of the specific ideas we had in regards to taking our ideas beyond Moscow were the letter service, in which people can send letters back and forth between the producers and the people who are inside Moscow benefiting from the Green District, in group festivals in which people can participate in different sites to get to know each other from surrounding communities and kind of to enjoy what's unique about the communities and just really be more connected as a region instead of just isolated within one place. And then for the packaging, we wanted to really emphasize where the food is coming from and who produced it, and with that organize things like having times to meet the farmers and other producers. And so how we would like to accomplish this is to have people maybe go back to their hometowns after their students, or maybe people who haven't been and want to experience a new community, and be ambassadors to start this model in other regions as well, such as the Treasure Valley or other places. So in summary, we feel like the problem is that healthy eating needs to be more affordable and convenient, and by creating healthy food systems through the food carts, we can create a thriving community and then bring it to other communities as well.